So the other night I was just completely bored, had no idea what to do, so I turned on Netflix and I saw a movie that I haven't seen since I was a kid. And that movie was Sky High. And I've gotta say, I remembered as a kid really liking the movie, and my parents actually really liking it too, because we watched it, you know, as a family, because that's what families do. And I remember as a kid I really liked it, but unfortunately I didn't know if this movie was gonna hold up or not. I mean, the movie was made in the early 2000s, it's about superheroes, it's really corny and lighthearted and fun, and it's early 2000s Disney. And early 2000s Disney can be good, but it can also be extremely dated.
Heyo, I'm Jake Paul from Bizarre Vark, and you're watching Disney Channel. Oh, no looker, first ever. Oh, nailed it!
So the big question is, does Sky High hold up? No, it doesn't. It doesn't hold up with time, but I've gotta say, this movie is so much fun to watch that I can overlook it, so let's talk about it. What's up guys, I'm Jacob Suggs and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be talking about Sky High, a movie that I actually kind of love. It's a movie that I didn't think that I would like now, but I remember liking as a kid, because unfortunately many of the movies that I watched as a kid just don't hold up anymore, and they typically aren't as good as I remember them to be. But there are a few exceptions, and this is one of those exceptions. I love it. If you don't know what Sky High is about, it's basically about this kid named Will Stronghold and his friends who go to a school for superheroes and sidekicks. That's the movie. And this movie was made in 2005, before the big superhero movie craze with all the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff and the DC Comics stuff. This movie was kind of made right when all of that was sort of starting. And this movie's more lighthearted and fun, and I think that's really cool in a world today, whenever every comic book movie just wants to be really dark, grounded, and gritty. I just thought it was a really cool change of pace, and I guess looking back on the movie now, that's where part of its charm comes from, because it's so different than, you know, the superhero stuff that we're getting today in cinemas. And nobody talks about this movie, so I'm gonna talk about it. It's so weird because I feel like this movie needs to be talked about whenever we're talking about comic book and superhero movies, but unfortunately nobody really talks about it because it's not based on a property, it's its own original creative idea. And that is something that I think this movie really had going for it and really succeeded in attempting to do. Now, if I could sum up this movie with three kind of phrases, it's super creative, it's super fun, but it's also super quirky. Also, get it? Because I said super, because they're superheroes! This movie is weird, but it's also really cool because it's a mix of a coming-of-age movie with a lighthearted, fun, comic book-inspired superhero movie, and it kind of just meshes these two kind of film genres together in a way that I think it really succeeds in, and results in a movie that I really haven't seen anything like. And all of the performances in this movie are actually fantastic. I really liked Matthew, what's his name? But I can't remember the fact that their performances are really good in this movie, especially Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell kind of stepped away from Disney at the time, and so to see him come back in grand fashion and play kind of this superhero that's also a dad to a teenager who wants to be a hero, that's really awesome. And even the side characters in this movie, like Daniel Panabaker and pretty much the rest of the sidekick crew that Will hangs around with in this movie, they do a really good job in this movie. They've got powers that I might not consider cool and that everybody else might not consider cool, but they're really well-written characters, and they use their powers in really creative ways in the film that I don't want to get into because spoilers. Also, Mary Elizabeth Winstead is gorgeous. I mean to say that she did a great job in this movie. That's what I meant to say. Everybody in this movie does a really good job. I felt like all the performances were really great. Everybody seemed like they were having fun making this movie, and in return makes for the characters being extremely likable and fun. Not to mention that Steve Carell and Bruce Campbell are also in this movie as teachers. They're great. There's not much of them in this movie, but when they're on screen, they do shine for their specific purpose that they're attempting to play. And hands down, my favorite character in this movie is Ron Wilson, bus driver. This guy is really great. He's just the bus driver that doesn't have any superpowers whatsoever, but Ron is used for humor in the movie, and he's an extremely likable character for one, but on the other hand, man oh man, this dude's kinda low-key creepy. I mean, you meet the son of these two really acclaimed superheroes, and you immediately give him your card and say, hey man, the bus waits for nobody, but it will wait for you. You ever need to get picked up late at night? Ever need somebody to talk to? I'm your guy. I'm Ron Wilson, bus driver. Maybe it's just me with my weird mind thinking weird things, but I can't help but to think it. But the movie is basically about Will Stronghold, the son of the Commander and Jetstream, two really popular superheroes, trying to fit into a world of superheroes and sidekicks when he himself hasn't discovered his powers yet, or may not even have powers. And the movie works in really great themes of heroes and family, and I feel like all of the themes that the movie was trying to do connect together really well. This movie also feels like you're watching a Golden Age comic book kind of come to life, and that's something that I didn't expect when rewatching this movie. It's really visually pleasing because you have a lot of people with various superpowers using them in really unique ways, and then you have really cool environments and different classrooms and stuff where people are being taught different skills for a hero or a sidekick. And of course, although they can't necessarily name off certain properties, there are a few hints here and there to certain characters from certain properties, especially in the two bullies in the movie, that one in which can stretch really far, the other can run really fast. Basically Plastic Man and the Flash. Linda Carter does play Principal Powers, that's really her name, in this movie, and she does say the line, I'm not Wonder Woman, you know. Get it? Because she played Wonder Woman! This movie also really shocked me because it has a lot of surprising twists and turns that I was not expecting. It really shocked me, and I didn't expect it and see it coming, and when a movie does that and totally throws me off guard and pulls something out of left field, I'm really sucked into it. That's awesome. Not saying that a twist completely out of left field is always necessarily good, but in this case, it actually worked. And this movie's got really creative sequences like Save the Citizen, and a scene where they're trying to be designated as a hero or a sidekick. It just goes to show that an action scene in a movie can be done really well and really lighthearted and fun and include bits of comedy if it's done correctly. And whenever you're trying to showcase different superpowers, you have to do it in a really interesting way, and this movie does that. Whether it be from a girl saying, I don't really want to use my powers, and then maybe using them later on, maybe not, or having a little nerdy kid become a giant rock monster. That's how you do it. Now, this movie doesn't hold up, and parts of it feel corny and cheesy, and the jokes don't always land, so it does result in a bit of cringe. But that being said, this movie's supposed to be that. It's supposed to be a lighthearted, fun, coming-of-age movie mixed with a superhero film, and that it accomplishes that. So can I really be too critical on a movie that isn't taking itself too seriously? I don't think so. Not to mention that this soundtrack is actually really good. It's a lot of 80s songs covered by early 2000s pop and rock bands, some of which are very good and most of which are very good, but some of which are not. I mean, Bowling for Soup covers Melt With You, so what else can you ask for? Long story short, you should totally check out Sky High. It's a really great movie, a really fun movie, and it's on Netflix, so you can definitely watch this movie. That being said, I'm FrameByFrame. Remember the name, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.